Bob Gerace here. Today's warrior training is how to make your wife feel loved, even if she's emotionally shut down, checked out, done with you, done with the marriage. This is a step by step biblical framework to reignite connection when she says she can't feel love. So I want to start with the premise that she's emotionally checked out, or distant, or outright told you that she doesn't feel your love. Maybe she says she doesn't believe it. She doesn't trust it, or doesn't even know if she loves you anymore. This is where most men panic, or they beg, or they get angry. They either shut down or lash out or try to overcompensate with gifts or words or apologies. My brother, none of that works. If she's emotionally detached, her walls are up. She has, at that point, disconnected from you on a deep level. You can't break through those walls with words or logic. And I know how frustrating this can be, where everything in you is feeling this abundant love for her, and it feels like it's oozing out of your pores. And yet she says she can't feel it, she can't see it. And no matter what you say or what you do, it's not breaking through. This kind of reminds me of Proverbs 25 and verse 28, where a man without self control is like a city broken into and left without walls. Like, if she doesn't feel love, then the only answer is that your masculine biblical leadership has got to rebuild her trust, her safety, and her attraction without pushing or forcing. And pushing or forcing takes different forms: begging, demanding, playing little emotional head games, manipulating, trying to use logic, trying to do her chores for her. Like, all these things, they become pushing or forcing. And brother, that just doesn't work. And I also want to set a realistic time frame. Like, this isn't an instant fix. But I promise you that this framework will change everything over weeks and or months. So, number one, stop the damage immediately. You got to do this first. Right now, she does not trust your love. That means every time that you try to explain yourself or defend yourself, she hears excuses. Sadly, every time you tell her you love her, she feels nothing. Every time you ask her why she's distant, she withdraws even more. Every time you beg for intimacy or connection, she feels pressured. So, rule number one, stop. Stop doing what isn't working. If you keep doing what has already pushed her away, you'll only shut her down more. What I want you to do is I want you to look at this as a series of steps. Like, step number one, like, remove the pressure immediately. No more "do you love me" questions. No more "I just want things to go back to how they were" statements. No more needy approval seeking behavior. Think of Song of Solomon, chapter 2 and verse 7. Do not arouse or awaken love until it so desires. My brother, love can't be forced. It has to be led back into existence. So instead, I want you to step back and show her through your actions that you are shifting. Second part of this is rebuilding safety and trust, the foundation of love. If a woman doesn't trust your love, it's because she doesn't feel safe with you. And this doesn't mean physical safety. And look, man, if it does, turn this off. You don't fit in this culture. We do not hurt our wives physically or give her any reason to fear that we might. But sadly, even the best intentioned men who fear God, men who are saved, do hurt their wife emotionally. So what it means is she doesn't feel safe with you emotionally. And so let's talk about what emotional safety is not. It's not avoiding conflict to keep her happy, sweeping things under the rug. That's passivity. It's not leadership. It's weak. It's broken. It's unattractive. It's disgusting to her. It's not becoming an emotional wreck and expecting her to fix you for all the above reasons. It's not trying to logic her into trusting you again. Let's think about Ephesians 4 and verse 2. Be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. So, this kind of brings us to the second step, which is you've got to create an environment of safety. What does that look like? It means being consistent in your emotions, no more emotional outbursts, defensiveness, or walking on eggshells. Now, look, man, I know. For me to tell you to do that, the first question on your mind is how? And it's a lot, man. It's the inner work, it's the ascending your inner king that I talk about. Go watch all of my videos, go binge watch them, and you'll see various examples for how to do this and what I mean by this. Ultimately, if you need help with this, consider going down into the description and joining one of our programs because we'll walk you through it. But man, if you don't do it, nothing else will work. You're the chief emotions officer. You have got to lead her emotionally. That means you have got to get your emotions on lock in a way that they're positive, happy, uplifting, joyful, blissful. Look, if you're not blissful, how can you be blissful to be around? If you're negative, if you're like the guy with the cloud over his head that's everywhere he goes, there's storm clouds, that's where you're going to lead her. Fix you, man. Fix you. And God will ensure that your male headship will cause that to lead her. Because that's what's happening now. What's happening now is you're broken and you're leading her to brokenness. You can't fix her unless you fix you. Because once you fix you, you lead her to health. Enough said. Next thing, let her emotions exist without reacting. Now, that doesn't mean don't be compassionate. It doesn't mean that if she's hurting, that you scoff and you're a stone wall. But what it means, man, is don't let her emotional storms become yours. Like maybe you're in a good place at this moment, and here she comes around the corner with that tone in her voice and that look in her eye, letting you know that once again you are failing in the marriage. Like if you let that kick off an emotional storm in you, all you're doing is sealing your own fate. And if she's cold, don't be cold back. If she's harsh, don't fire back. Stay grounded, man. Be the lighthouse in the ocean in the hurricane that survives the waves. Take full ownership of past failures, but don't beg for forgiveness. 1 Corinthians 13 and verse 7 says, love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. That's your target, man. That's your North Star. If she doesn't trust your love, she has to see that it endures even when she isn't returning it. This is where I talk about pile driving yourself into the buzzsaw of her rejection. And the pile driving is never violent towards her. We are not warriors towards her. We are warriors for her. The pile driving that I'm talking about is going on inside your own heart and mind. She needs to see that in the face of her rejection, your love endures. That means you must continue to walk into that buzzsaw of rejection. And I know you don't want to do it. I know it hurts. I know it's scary. I know you'd rather do anything but. I know you're worried that it's going to blow up into World War III and you're going to say or do something that is going to seal the fate. The garage door just comes down in front of her face and you know that it's going to be another 2 weeks before she talks to you, man. That's why you got to get control of your emotions. So let's talk about part number 3, rebuilding her attraction and why love feels dead. See, most men think their wife shut down emotionally for no reason. That's a lie, brother. If she stopped feeling love, it's because she doesn't feel emotionally safe. She doesn't feel led. She feels like she has to be in control. This is her masculine coming out. When the king abdicates his throne, takes off the crown, lays down the shield, lays down the sword, and walks out of the throne room, she looks around and she says, "There's no one here to fend for me, so I must therefore fend for myself." She picks up the crown, she picks up the shield, she picks up the sword, and she sits on the king's throne. She goes into her masculine. The fangs come out, the claws come out. She is ready to fend for herself. When that happens, man, she has lost attraction for you at a deep, deep, deep level. You cannot logic her back into attraction. She has to feel it. This is why you need masculine guidance, masculine mentorship, a, a, a tribe, a brotherhood of iron sharpening iron. Proverbs 27 and verse 17, iron sharpens iron so that one man sharpens another. Like, man, a woman is wired to respond to a strong, godly, confident man. If you become weak, passive, or emotionally unstable, she will not feel attraction. Step number 3, become a man she can't ignore. Regain your confidence. Stop acting like you need her approval. Stop walking in shame. Stop walking in weakness. Stop walking in brokenness. Start walking with strength and certainty. Lead decisions. Take care of stuff. Take care of business. Handle things to make her life easier and happier and simpler. Plan things without waiting for her input on everything. Man, if you've got a honey-do list, it means you're abdicating your responsibility. When she's making you a list, she's feeling like your mom. You don't want that, and she doesn't either, because it does nothing to get those hormones stirring in her body in a way that makes her want to be naked with you, brother. Start prioritizing your mission. If you've made her your whole focus, that's a weakness. A warrior has a mission, a calling, a vision. A man who stands strong in faith, purpose, and vision is irresistible. So let's talk about part 4, restoring pursuit and connection, the final stage. This is where most men mess up. If she starts softening, they immediately try to jump back into the old patterns, words, romance. Don't forget sex. I know you won't forget it. I know, man. The minute it starts to get better, we want to go right back there. And let me tell you something, man. Oftentimes it works. Oftentimes she either lets you go right back there or she wants to go right back there. Don't. I don't want to say it that way. That sounds too much like a prior president. So what I will tell you is if you do that, you're making a big mistake. Here's your big mistake, man. If she does allow herself to become vulnerable for that, chances are you're not ready to be the man to make her feel safe afterwards. That's a bad thing, man. She needs extra safety after that. She needs extra love, extra attention. If all you've done is just taken what I'm teaching you here in this video and then getting her back into bed and then breaking her heart afterwards, you're on a road to a very lonely and celibate marriage. She needs to feel safe and attracted first. Then she'll desire connection again. Don't play on these emotions that the minute she begins to feel safe and attracted, you pursue sex and then abandon her emotionally. My brother, There's so much to this. So much to this. I want to do these videos for you because I know you need the help, but I also want to give you a strong dose of caution that you go off half cocked with this information and you're going to make it worse. So, what I'm going to tell you, man, is if this video helps you, praise Jesus for that. But take it slow, man. Don't rush into getting your needs met. As powerful and as demanding as they are, make sure that you're actually doing this inner man ascension, this ascending of your inner king, this true Romans 12 and verse 2 transformation with a 2 Corinthians 10 and verse 5 methodology. Step number 4, you got to pursue her without expectation. This kind of goes back to what I've been saying. Like, touch her non sexually, just a simple hand on her back without expectation. Compliment her confidently, not about her body, not about how hot she looks, not about she undressed in front of you and how awesome that was. Compliment her intellect, compliment her heart, compliment things about who she is, not just how she looks and how you want to get with her. And certainly not in a way that's begging. Just a bold, confident, I'm so glad that I married such a smart woman. Wow, that was incredible. So glad God gave me such a brilliant woman. Wow, that was amazing. The way you helped that child. Your heart for children is something that I believe God reserves for very, very special people like you. And now we want to kind of mix that up with some flirting. Don't chase. A flirty smirk, a flirty tease, not needy, just presence. Reminds me of Proverbs 5, verses 18 and 19. Rejoice in the wife of your youth. Let her breasts fill you at all times with delight. Be intoxicated always with her love. I want to tell you something, man. Praise Jesus. My wife is the fountain from which all the joy in my life flows. I want that for you too, brother. But before she can be that, before she can delight in you, she must trust and respect you again. So, my final war cry for you is lead until love returns. Lead until love returns. If she is emotionally checked out, this is not the time to beg, pressure, or push. It's the time to lead. It's the time to stand strong. It's the time to show her, not tell her, what a strong, godly, masculine man looks like. 1 Corinthians 16 and verse 13 tells us to be watchful, stand firm in the faith, act like men, be strong. Your strength, your leadership, your masculine presence is what will reignite her trust, her safety, and her desire. But only if you stay committed, only if you keep your emotions in check, only if you do the inner work necessary to ascend your inner king so that you become rock solid for her emotionally. You become the rock, you become the anchor. Her emotions as a female are going to go all over the place. And what she's going to do is continually, subconsciously test you to see if she can be safe around you. Can you contain her emotions? Not in a controlling way, not in a dominating way, but in a loving way. The definition that I'm thinking in my mind when I say, can you contain her emotions? Can you contain her? Some people might be put off by that. They might be like, well, Bob, I'm not going to, trap my wife under a bowl and contain her. It's not what I mean, brother. What I mean is, can you keep everything in her life within safe limits? Can you keep her safe? And if you cannot contain your own emotions, you can't contain hers. And if you can't contain her emotions, you can't contain her. And that she is therefore not safe with you and cannot relax into her love. Real quick, because I think we're probably coming up on time here, but real quick, Tony Robbins, very famous for his 6 core emotional needs. The first one is certainty. Women, we call that safety. But let's just talk about you and me, man. If we're sitting in a building and we're having a conversation and we look up and we notice that there's a concrete ceiling and there's 30 stories of concrete and steel above us, and we notice these big cracks and we notice rocks falling out of the cracks and we notice things are shaking. Is there anything on our mind other than getting out of there? And the answer is no. If we don't have the certainty that that building is not about to collapse on us, there's nothing else that matters. Same thing. If you're under that ceiling with your wife, there's absolutely nothing about making her feel loved that's going to work because she feels like the ceiling's going to come down on her head. But once she has the certainty that she is safe under that roof, her next big need becomes love and connection. Now, there's a lot more to the 6 things, and that's really not the subject of this, but where I'm going with this, man, is if she doesn't feel loved, you got to start with making her feel safe. So I hope this has helped you, brother. Go. Start today, because your wife will only believe your love when she feels it, not when she hears it. I'd like to end with a prayer. Father, I want to pray for my brother today who's watching this. I want to pray that he receives it and he understands it. I want to pray that he'll submit to you and the Holy Spirit so that you can begin to do a work in his heart through your word in Romans 12 and verse 2, through your word in 2 Corinthians 10 and verse 5. Lord, I pray for him. I pray for his marriage. I pray for his children. I pray for the future of the family, that they understand and accept Jesus and grow to emulate him and become like him more every day as the only road to happiness, salvation, and glorifying you. In the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen. Okay, guys, same time, same place next week.